team's 4-7 record, it's opened the door to some discussions, reports that the team is now exploring trading Zach LaVine. That's according to Casey Johnson and others. LaVine, he's under contract for 2 more seasons after this year, plus he also has a player option. And today, LaVine, he was asked about his future in Chicago.
You know, people talk. You know, I've been in trade talks for a long time, so I understand the situation. But once news is always broken, it's a big thing. You know, it's not like it's the first or the last time. It's going to happen with my name. So as of right now, I'm excited to still put this jersey on, go out here and play, try to get this win tonight.
But do you want to be elsewhere? I mean, do you want to be?
If we need to talk about that at a time, right now isn't the time to really talk about that.
It is the time.
Right now isn't the time to talk about that. That's not exactly overwhelmingly shutting down those conversations. Michael Wilbon, you're the first
Which he has
name.
done in the past.
Right, exactly. So this seems like a little bit of going off course of what we've seen historically. You're the first name I think of when I think of Chicago. This is a space for you. We are all here for you to let it out.
Putting me on the sofa as a proxy.
Yes, you can call us all
Bulls.
doctor with a question after it, so
Malika,
that we all are appropriately titled here.
There was an inaccurate assessment of what in the summer of what the Bulls could be coming out of the gate, and that's why they brought this whole team back to run it back, and signed Vooch and gave him money. And you look at DeMar, you look at Zach LaVine, and they never got over the loss of Lonzo Ball. Have not gotten over it. Thought they were going to get over it, past it. Have not. 4-7. Here was the thing I was encouraged about. From January 1 to the end of last regular season, you know who had the #1 defense rating in the league? The Bulls. Number one. You know what they are now so far, 4-7? 22nd.
You know what the Bulls gave up? Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly got there in the trade and changed the whole.
He did. Remember how well they played down the stretch? But they played much better down the stretch with Pat Bev in there, and now, of course, he's in Philly. So now look, the Bulls have to start over. I deal with the text messages I get from half the people in the building here saying, "What's wrong with your team?" They have to start over, and the way you start over is getting some kind of package as much as you can for Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, who's going to be a free agent, who's in the final months of his contract. You've got to do that. Where else do you go? The Patrick Williams draft pick has been a disaster. He has not been the late bloomer that we thought. And when you look at Halliburton coming after him in that draft, and now the Bulls have to live with that. Oh, my God, we passed on Halliburton to take Patrick Williams, who has not been what they thought, at the 4th overall pick. So they got multiple problems. I'm not going to lay this all on Zach LaVine, but he's the guy making $200 million plus.
Sure.
And he's got to bear a lot of the responsibility.
But do they have the stomach for that, Zach, that teardown that Mr. Wilbon is talking about?
I hope so, because the worst thing they can do is trade Zach LaVine for, like, win now kind of assets to try to keep whatever this train is, which is not really going anywhere, try and keep it going all the way to nowhere where it's going. And that would be the most damaging thing. Look, I just don't know what else they're supposed to do, because you look long term. You talked about Patrick Williams, who's been disappointing. Their last 2 first-round picks aren't playing. Like, there's just, like, nothing coming up in the pipeline. The present-day team isn't going anywhere. This is 3 years in a row of being outscored with DeRozan, LaVine, and Vucevic on the floor. It just isn't working, and probably the best thing they can do for the long-term health of the franchise is try to bottom out, get a high pick in this draft, and get a high pick in the Cooper Flag draft. And just, it's painful, but you got to eat your vegetables sometimes.
I like vegetables, but I'm a little bit looking at their schedule coming up here. The Orlando Magic twice. They have the Heat after that, although the Heat are playing incredibly well right now.
The Orlando Magic is the team.
That's what I'm saying.
The Orlando Magic will take them apart.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm just wondering if, with the schedule gets rolling a little bit here, if they pile on a couple of wins and all of a sudden it's going to feel a little bit better, and if they're still going to have the stomach to push through those bubble guys.
Or the team that you traded Wendell Carter Jr. and the picks that became Franz Wagner and Jet Howard for comes and beats you and ends this era, or signals the end of it.
Well, Michael Wilbon is saying the Bulls need to start over, and if the mayor of Chicago is saying that, then I think that the Bulls should probably listen.
I'm on fire. It's NBA,